Breaking news at Six Flags over Texas. A mother riding the Texas Giant roller coaster was killed tonight, and many people witnessed it.
The news leader, broadcasting for all North Texas. Fox 4 News starts now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. The accident happened about 7 o'clock tonight when the woman somehow fell off of the roller coaster, out of the coaster car. Sky 4 over the park right now. The Texas Giant ride is shut down, but other rides are still running at the park tonight. Fox 4's Calvert Collins joining us from Six Flags. All right, I know it's early, Calvert, but any idea based on witnesses and the people you've talked to how this happened?
Well, we've heard some witness accounts, but again, they were people on the ride, so it's hard to know. You know, things happen so fast. None of that is being confirmed or verified by Arlington Police or any investigators here at Six Flags, so we're still waiting on some more official confirmation of how this horrible event happened. It's unknown where on the ride that this woman came out of the train and fell below, or what caused that fall. Certainly that's what a lot of people want to know tonight. And the ride was immediately shut down, as you mentioned, but the park and other rides remain open. In fact, the park doesn't close for another hour. Six Flags over Texas medical staff, paramedics, and firefighters immediately arrived on the scene. There was a fire truck that extended its ladder all the way up so that personnel could get to where that woman had fallen. Now, in a statement released this evening, Six Flags over Texas says that safety of our guests and employees is their #1 priority. People on the ride were immediately posting on social media about the incident, what they had seen, but Arlington Police investigators came immediately as well, trying to figure out how this woman fell to her death. Now, we spoke to a man who was waiting in line to get on the next train, and here is what he had to say.
We were either on the train in front of or behind where the person had fallen out, and we were stuck at the end where you unload, and the security came and told us what happened, told us, you know, just sit tight, you know, we'd probably be sitting there for a while. And I mean, we saw like all the EMTs and firefighters and stuff rushing out.
What did they tell you happened?
They said that possibly a restraint might have come up and somebody had fallen out around a turn.
That is unconfirmed, but we've heard a number of similar accounts from witnesses posting that on social media, but we haven't had a chance to talk to Arlington Police investigators. We can tell you that a number of people on the train where this woman was, as well as others in the subsequent trains, were immediately questioned by investigators just to find out if they had seen anything. But this is actually not the first death to happen at Six Flags over Texas. In March of 1999, a 28-year-old woman died, and 10 others were injured when their raft overturned on the Roaring Rapids ride. And then in March of 2006, 10 other people were injured on the Texas tornado when their swings hit each other, but no deaths then. So this is certainly a terrible night, not only for this amusement park and all the staff and folks on the ground here, but for so many people who just came to enjoy this lovely summer night with their families. But a horrible end, and hopefully we'll know a little bit more from investigators as they get to the Texas Giant, talk to some more of those folks, look at some of the cameras on the roller coaster, and have some more answers for us, Steve.
Calvert, right after the interview played that you did, we didn't have your mic fully open. You were talking about unconfirmed. Were you talking about it being unconfirmed that the restraint failed or came off? Is that what you were talking about?
That's correct. I'm sorry about that audio issue. We had seen a number of similar reports from people posting on Facebook and Twitter this evening, but again, these trains are going so fast. People don't always know what they see, and so that's why police always caution the media to take eyewitness accounts, because again, it happens so quickly, it's hard to recount what they saw. But that's why investigators are going to be looking at cameras along the train route. They're going to be talking to people that were on the train, maybe sitting in front of or behind this woman, to try to understand how she came out of that seat on this train and then fell to her death. Let me ask you something, Calvert. You talk about social media and different reports around. There have been a couple that this woman was at the park with her children, and they may have been on the ride too. Have you been able to confirm that, or have you heard people talking about that? No, we haven't heard, haven't been able to confirm any of that because remember, this only happened on one ride, and only a very small number of people were on the train with her or maybe knew her. But most of the people coming out of the park had no idea, and they were asking us kind of what was going on. Why did they see flashing lights running towards the Texas Giant? Why were there all these emergency personnel here? So, you know, they're trying to understand all of this as well, and unfortunately, they had to learn the bad news as well.
Okay, Calvin, we'll be checking back with you. I know information is coming out minute by minute, so we'll check back with you a little later in this newscast. Calvin Collins at Six Flags right now. Thank you.
Breaking news, a woman falls to her death at Six Flags over Texas. Many witnessed the deadly accident.
I just wouldn't figure something like that would happen.
Right.
It's 10 o'clock in North Texas. Fox 4 News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Clarice Tinsley. The woman who was killed tonight was riding the Texas Giant roller coaster, and many people witnessed it. Here's a live look from Sky 4 over the park. As Six Flags closes for the evening, the Texas Giant ride is shut down. Calvert Collins is live from the park. Calvert, what have you learned about this fatal accident?
Well, Clarice, we don't have any more answers as to how this woman was killed on the Texas Giant roller coaster this evening, but we can tell you in the last 15-20 minutes or so, we can tell you that a funeral home vehicle has arrived to retrieve her body and likely take it to a funeral home nearby. This happened about 6:45 this evening. It's unknown where on the ride somehow she came free of her seat and then fell, unfortunately, to her death below. Now, the ride was immediately shut down, but the park remained open, as did other rides, and the park just closed, as it does any other night at 10 p.m. Now, Six Flags Over Texas medical staff and paramedics, plus firefighters, immediately responded to the Texas Giant, and we can tell you that firefighters used their ladder truck to try to get to her, to where she had fallen on a platform below the roller coaster. In a statement, Six Flags Over Texas said that safety of our guests and employees is our #1 priority. People on the ride had been posting about the incident all evening on social media, and Arlington police initially, and then fire investigators who are still on scene trying to figure out how this woman died. We spoke to a man who was on the next train, and here is what he had to say.
We were either on the train in front of or behind where the person had fallen out. I mean, we saw like all the EMTs and firefighters and stuff rushing out.
What did they tell you happened?
They said that that possibly a restraint might have come up and somebody had fallen out around the turn. I know these guys check everything all the time, so you know, I just wouldn't figure something like that would happen.
Now, again, there is some question about if that restraint did in fact come loose. We are waiting to get confirmation from Arlington fire investigators who are still here. Now, this is not the first death to happen on at Six Flags. In March of 1999, a 28-year-old woman died after the raft that she and 10 others were on flipped over on the Roaring Rapids ride. And then in March of 2006, 10 people were hurt on the Texas Tornado as their swings hit each other. But now this is the second death in Six Flags Over Texas history. Now, we've been monitoring social media all evening, getting witness accounts from a variety of people who say they saw this fall happen, and some people had said that this woman had complained about her security bar, that it wasn't tight enough. Again, trying to find that out from our investigators, and then a lot of other people who were on that train following them and ready to board said that immediately as people were coming back to the station that it was just, they were crying, it was frantic, they knew something had gone horribly wrong, and there were even reports that this woman's child was asking investigators, please go find my mommy. But again, we're trying to find out any kind of details, confirmed details from investigators here still on scene, Clarice.
And Calvin, I was going to ask you, we know this was an adult woman. Do we know who was in that car with her? Were her children with her? Did she have a husband? Were there friends with her in that car?
Well, we haven't been able to confirm that. Like I said, really no one here on scene is talking. That statement is the only thing that has been released from Six Flags. I've been emailing with Arlington the fire department. Still, again, nothing confirmed. But we've been told that her son was with her. Not sure if there were other children on the ride. 24 people can ride this train all at the same time, or 24 people per train. So it's still remains to be seen if there were other relatives or friends, and we don't know her identity yet, but hope to learn that in the next couple hours.
So the other rides stayed open tonight. Will the Texas Giant stay closed tomorrow when the park reopens?
Likely, as investigators remain on scene, they want to collect as much evidence as they can. They're going to go through the camera footage along the train route to see maybe if the train malfunctioned, where did that happen, where did a restraint come up. It's likely the Texas Giant's going to remain closed for quite some time, but we're not told at this point that any other rides will be closed.
Calvin Collins live at Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington.